Welcome to the first seminar of the day, where we're going to be looking at AV over IP. I'm Lisa Collins, and I'm your moderator today, and I've got a great panel here, and I'm just going to get them to introduce themselves. So, Ahmed, I'll hand to you first.
My name is Ahmed Shalabi. I'm the technical design consultant for Audinate.
Stephen Dishon. Work for Learning Spaces Technology within the University of Edinburgh, and we are responsible for the audiovisual systems in teaching spaces, meeting rooms, event spaces, and I'm specifically in charge of the installation, installs and design of those systems.
I'm Stuart Morrison. I'm a senior audiovisual / IT technician for University of Strathclyde. Again, like Stephen, we look after a lot of areas, but I kind of head up the first line support team, so the direct day-to-day contact with everyone.
Excellent. Good to have you all with us. Let's do a bit of background first. Ahmed, coming to you as the provider. We'll come to the facilities in a second. Talk us through some of the benefits of AV over IP, in particular for educational institutions.
So when you think about an AV over IP system, unlike traditional systems where you have to deal with centralized proprietary infrastructure that is built specifically for an environment, you can move on to off-the-shelf network hardware that is highly scalable, highly flexible, which effectively lets us transport audio and video signals from one place to another. It's highly flexible, can go from any point to any point. You are not bound by distance, by infrastructure. You are not bound by the traditional limitations of a traditional AV system. So that means it's future-proof. That means it's highly cost-effective. It's highly adaptable and flexible in higher education or other environments, which also means that you can adapt this to whatever you need right now or in 5, 10, even 20 years' time.
Excellent, thank you. And I should have mentioned Campbell was due to be with us today, but isn't able to be here. But we're in good, capable hands here with Stuart to be able to tell the full story. So, Stephen, talk us through your setup.
So we've been using audio over IP for a good few years now with the Dante system. It's fairly simple to put into most of our regular teaching spaces. We've got quite a extensive data network everywhere. But only recently have we started to put in the AV over IP. We've got a number of buildings that it's scheduled to go into, but we've just completed our Edinburgh Futures Institute building, which is purely on a data network. So there are no point-to-point cables for speakers, for video, everything, the cameras, the projectors, the displays all sit on AV over IP. So it was a bit of a nerve-wracking experience to put it on. You're reliant, as we'll talk about, on the network, but it did, as Ahmed said, make it so much easier. When specifying the rooms, we basically just asked for power and data pretty much everywhere. So we've got power and data in floor boxes, power and data on the walls, and power and data in the ceiling. We can put anything anywhere and have done. So the rooms were designed to be flexible. Obviously, when I design the room, that's different to what somebody else wants, and we've now started to have to look at changing some of these things. But it's been incredibly easy to do, as we can just move things around on the network. The video side of it, as I say, we've just started to do it. There are lots of standards out there, lots of manufacturers with their own proprietary systems. So if you've got HDMI, you've got VGA, all these bits of kit all work with each other, but the AV over IP side still hasn't quite caught up with that. But hopefully with the Audinate system, that it will go the same way as we've got with the audio, that any manufacturer will be able to have an Audinate chip into their system.
And what would you say are the fundamentals of getting it right?
Network is the side of it. When I started at the University of Edinburgh back in 2013, the control panel went on the network, and that was it. now everything goes on the network, and whether it's the control of the audio, the streaming, as I say, it makes it easier, but your network services are all of a sudden going to be surprised at having a minimum of 100 meg data streams at least from point to point, or even worse if it's multicast. So you really need to sit down with your network people and have a discussion about how you're going to do it, how you're going to break up the VLANs, whether you're going to have separate switches. So before, I guess it was having conversations with the electricians about where they were running cables. Now it's having conversations with the establishment's network team to make sure they understand exactly what you're asking, because if they can't get that network right, it doesn't matter how easy it is to screw a speaker or a camera to the wall, it's just not going to work.
Yeah, teamwork.
Teamwork, definitely.
And Stuart, moving on to Strathclyde, talk us through your setup.
We've been using Dante for a long time. I can't remember when we started using it. We started on a small scale, testing a few rooms, and that's also when we started using video over IP. Again, so our competitor we had Wirestorm. We started on a small section for basically overspilling large lectures to multiple rooms. And it's kind of grown from that. I think we've got one of the largest Wirestorm networks in Scotland anyway. So we can, the new teaching and learning building, all the audio is Dante, so we can pass the audio anywhere in the building. Same with the videos all over Wirestorm, so we can pass all the video to any lecture theatre, so any large lecture can be overspilled to multiple rooms. Mostly a lot of that was to come in with the PGDE teachers, so they come in the summer, they've got 1,000 people in some of the, so we don't have a room that big. So we have to spread that across multiple rooms, so Wirestorm and Dante are perfect for that. So the audio passes around. We use a lot of, I'm trying to think what else we use it for. Dante's so easy to use, it's set up, it's nice and quick, and the troubleshooting's a great thing about it. You can quickly see if something's not on the network, or if it's not wrong, you can go and troubleshoot quickly, which is a very handy wee thing of it.
And you are the man on the ground using this kit day in, day out. Talk us through some of the highs and the lows.
Most mornings I'll come in and I'll check the Dante network, make sure there's any issues, because generally it's rock solid. The issues again come network, and there's a megabit of jitter through the network, or something might occur. It'll flash out quite quickly where there's something going wrong. So then you can narrow down your search to when you can get in the room to access it, to try and, if a unit needs rebooted or replaced, it's quick and easy. The troubleshooting's the kind of the handiest thing for us on a day-to-day. And also if you need to add equipment to a room quickly, like we often have, like the principal might come in and decide he wants to do his lecture in a different room, so we quickly have to get equipment to rooms that haven't been set up for additional microphones, etc. So we have to put into all our DSPs have got plenty of Dante channels, so we'll go into them because we don't have any physical channels left, and that's a great thing with it, because you can quickly add multiple mics to a room for whatever you need.
So it makes life much more flexible.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Let's have a conversation about cost, and Stephen, maybe come to you on that. Is it a more cost-effective solution?
For us it is. We would in the past have to have run all the cabling, whereas now as it sits on the network is already, all that data cabling is there. And in terms of getting it installed, it's literally screwing your device to the wall, whether it's the speaker or the cameras. We use Sennheiser radio mics. You see that Shure here as well, they have a similar system where it can just, you have essentially an access point that can sit on the wall for your radio mics, and that makes life a lot easier. When our very first, going on the Dante install, when we did the test, we borrowed a Sennheiser ceiling mic, and it took probably about half an hour to put it into the ceiling and get it onto the system. So in terms of an install time, it's significantly easier. It's less reliant on a skilled installer to do it. The electrical contractor can wire these things up, and then we would then configure all these devices on the network. So there is an element of significantly easier and cheaper to install. There is a cost element, obviously, in that a switcher is fairly cheap, and as soon as you put in a Dante chip or an AV over IP device, there is an increase in that, but actually the overall ease saving makes a big difference, I think, to an install, and also the ability to go into any room and not have to get the room set up with speaker cables. So you can buy kit and then put it anywhere and take it out and move it around a lot easier. So the overall cost of the lifespan of that kit, I think, would be cheaper. Yes.
Yeah, and Ahmed, you're working with a variety of clients. Are they using this solution because it is more cost effective?
It depends, but I think the number one driver that I have seen is the flexibility and the scalability of it. So sometimes they are not focusing on the cost right now because it might be high, because network hardware can be significantly expensive, but they are more looking at how flexible and how scalable it can be, and how less resource intensive, I guess.
And there's perhaps you can talk about it. There's different flavours of the Audinate AV over IP coming out, and although a lot of it requires a chipset in the specific device, a lot of the cameras, you can load the software onto the cameras and things like that. So actually you might have existing kit that can be updated with, I can never remember which way around, the A and HA and the AV and whichever different ones.
That's true. So not all the existing AV over IP devices need a specific chip to be Dante ready or Dante AV ready, but you could update your firmware, and then you would have the capabilities of the new protocols, basically. So that means you might have already kit that is ready to go on your network today, even.
Yes, no, sounds great. And in terms of day-to-day and teaching and in learning in each of your establishments, how has that changed things and transformed the way young people are, or anybody is learning there?
Yeah, I think from the University of Edinburgh's point of view, we're a little bit slow off the mark, but coming through primary and secondary, these classes are significantly more flexible. You've not got rows and rows of kids sitting listening to the teacher anymore. They're in groups, they're working in groups, and that's something that is creeping into colleges and education, that we have to be more flexible, and that's exactly the design ethos of the Edinburgh Futures Institute. Is we can move anything around the room, and as long as there's a floor box there, the screen, the presentation screen can go anywhere. We have trolleys, we use Microsoft Teams devices, and so the student tables can move around, and we can have 4 trolleys in a room, 4 groups of 6 people, or we can have up to 9 groups, and everything just moves around and plugs in, and you don't have to reconfigure every time. It just picks, once you've plugged back into the network, the Dante controller subscriptions will just re-enable themselves, and so it's almost as simple as the servitors just moving the furniture around. 90% of the time it's not a problem, but there will always be issues with that. But it's that flexibility that we are starting to see creep more and more into it, and we're looking for more and more teaching spaces as our intakes increase and our class size increase. But it's trying to understand how academics actually want to teach and deliver the material. So often we'll put in technology that's not necessarily used because they just want that group work. But there is quite a lot of the hybrid side of it, where they want to work either with groups in the room and groups online, or purely people online working in groups, but are then brought back into a space. And it's that ability to move around and use one space as flexibly as possible. For semester 1 it will be basic teaching to get them all going, and then semester 2 will be more advanced. So the rooms might move around, between semesters or indeed from week to week. So that flexibility, that sitting on the network, makes a big difference, I think, and will continue to make a difference in the future for spaces.
And is it the same at Strathclyde?
Yeah, very similar. Again, it's also a time saving if you're setting up in different areas, moving stuff about. That's the big thing. Often you don't get a lot of time between classes or events. You have to go and quickly do things, and that's a very handy tool for that. It just makes lives a bit easier.
And we've got a large event space within EFI, and during the day it can be set out as a teaching space with the rake seating out, and then in the evening it will become a conference or some form of reception, and it's a lot easier to move the teaching desk out and simply have an AV over IP box sat in a small lectern that goes onto the projector, and then that's moved away and the teaching desk is brought back in the next day. So it's this flexibility, and not just in teaching space, but any spaces that you have to very quickly adapt a room to your own circumstance.
And Stephen, how do you see your facilities evolving? You've got the systems in now. What plans have you got for the future?
If only I knew. I think we're in a more and more competitive teaching environment, but we're also, the University of Edinburgh not only provides teaching, but we accommodate conferences. We've got the Edinburgh Festival Fringe in our space, but we have more and more pressure to utilise those spaces and to bring in events. So the Edinburgh Futures Institute also has our first installs of a number of LED video walls. We have had a conversation about those video walls being able to be used for filming. They're fairly large spaces, so the LED walls can be used as backdrops for our media studies group. So I think there's lots of technology in general is becoming quite exciting. A little bit expensive just now, but like everything, the LED video walls have come down in cost. And as I say, once the AV over IP kicks in properly, I think that cost will come down, and I think these spaces will just be used for everything and anything.
And presumably new revenue streams coming into the facilities?
Yeah, so as I say, the Edinburgh Festival Fringe is in with us. We've got the Edinburgh Book Festival in with us up soon. We'll have conferences, so anything that we can use the rooms for, I think the university will be more than keen to. It does make it problematic in doing installs and maintenance when the teaching has stopped. That there's other events in there, but the flexibility does allow for pretty much any use now. We're not stuck with rows of tables and chairs with a projector stuck at one end of the room. We can move things around, and we also, because we're putting AV over IP cameras in all our spaces, then hybrid conferences, things like this would be fairly easy to accommodate.
Excellent. And Stuart, this would have been a question for Campbell because he is your facilities guy.
Yeah.
But what are his plans for the future? Do you know? Has he shared them?
No, he keeps them quite tight-lipped initially. I'm not sure what he's got lined up yet. It's always a surprise. There'll be something new coming in. Again, as Stephen was saying, the event space is a big thing for us. We've got just now our first graduations are kicking off just now, so that's a Dante audio up to the mixing desk, and then there's Wirestone cameras. So again, this is a space that can be flexible, so we can move images around the campus, around that, which is again where it comes in, and that's going to be the future carrying on, is making everything flexible, so we can get video and audio all over the campus, and possibly out to the campuses that are off the city site and these kind of things. So it's just flexibility is the key to going forward, I think.
Yeah, exciting times ahead. Ahmed, are you able to share any of the new tech that might be coming out? Which is your sales pitch to these guys.
We recently announced media encryption. So a lot of the corporations we work with and higher education institutions and organizations are interested into media encryption. That has just been announced 1st of June. We just announced Dante Director, which is our cloud management platform. It's very similar to DDM, but lives in the cloud, and it's more flexible from an entry point of view for smaller organizations. I guess those are the two most exciting announcements that I would like to share.
And obviously, AV over IP is new, coming into education. What training did you guys need ahead of time before the installations?
With Dante, the first thing we did is we went up to, we had friends at the Royal Conservatoire, so they showed us how the Dante worked in there, how they got from the rooms to the recording studio, and it was just, I think we just sucked it and tried it. We got some stuff in, tried it in 3 rooms initially to see how the video would work, how the Dante would work, and how it all, and they're still running to this day, same setup, same equipment, and that's been maybe 6 years, so it's fairly solid.
I think there's more and more webinars that are online and training sessions that are online that we simply didn't have in the past, and there's the Dante certification. I think it takes all of 3 hours to get to level 3, but it's very good, and there's lots of explanatory videos on all sorts of bits of kit. I haven't looked at the Audinate video training yet, but I'm sure there'll be something there. But absolutely, coming to events like this, speaking to people, that's made a big difference to understanding that we're putting in the right technology and understanding who we need to speak to get that help and support. And it's not just within Audinate, but we obviously within Scotland, the universities talk to each other, and across the UK and Europe. So there is quite a pool of support in the higher education side, and with AV User Group, the higher education and corporate side as well. That knowledge base is, I think, a lot easier to tap into than it was before.
Yeah, and Ahmed, there's plenty of knowledge sharing and training out there, isn't there?
There's definitely, obviously, level 1, 2, and 3. They are very popular. We have specific trainings for video. So we have Dante AV training and Dante Domain Manager training. So that's training specifically targeted for Dante Domain Manager. And for Dante Director, I'm not sure whether that's released yet or not, but if it's not already on the website, it will be released momentarily. So.
Great. And finally, I'm looking for some advice for our audience. What advice would you give somebody who's looking to switch to AV over IP?
Speak to your network team would be the first thing. Make sure they're on board, aware of everything the AV stuff does. Do some training. Speak to people like us, people that use it, and then we're happy to give people demos and talk to people. It's not a problem.
Thanks, Stephen.
There's certainly probably plenty of spaces across Scotland that you would be able to come and see, people's installations, and also most manufacturers will be quite happy to hand over demo kit. I think that, as Stuart has said, make sure your network people understand. So get demo kit and sit it on the network before you do anything. I have our very first experiment with AV over IP. I crashed the network. I thought I was on a sandbox network and wasn't, and the face of my network person running into the room is going to haunt me forever.
Oh dear.
So you most definitely speak to your network people, but get the kit, sit it on your actual network if possible, not just play with it on a sandbox network, but put it on your own network and see how far you can stream it and leave it there for as long as you can to make sure there's no devices going to sleep, well, that breaks the connection, and when the device wakes back up again, you've then got to go and remake that connection. It's just really sit and play with that kit. Before, having a switcher in there, that was fine, but it's something that's so critical that is so reliant on the network that's really. I don't think we can emphasise network enough.
Yeah.
That's your
That's the key
takeaway
word
from
of the
this
session.
is network.
100%.
And Ahmed, final words over to you. The advice that you would give.
I guess the most important thing is please consult the documentation. We have plenty of documentation on the website. Take your time to review the release notes. Talk to your networks team as early as you can. And if you are in doubt about something, or if they are in doubt about something, you can always reach out to us, or we're happy to provide more information if the documentation and the release notes are not enough.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you. You are going to hang around, so if there are any questions at the end, please do come and grab these guys. They're here, so share knowledge. And thanks. And thank you all for joining.
Thank you. Thank you so much.